All right, let me preface this by saying two things. First of all, this is maple. What I probably should do to give you guys an idea is that's ash right there. Roughly the same diameter as the maple. So if I did a cut on that and then came back and used the same saw on this, you'll start getting a sense of the difference in density and how that affects cut speed. And the other thing I want to point out is, notice the world didn't come to an end when I used a conventional cut technique on this. Actually, this is sugar maple. Look at the sap come up. I used my conventional cut technique on this, you know, looking up to make sure nothing's coming down. But I left a little high wood, and look at that, it broke down in there. But notice the world didn't come to an end because I didn't use a Humboldt or a bore cut. Which is funny for me. So much is made of that. And to me, it's always about the application. You know, not a one size fit all. It's just nice to be able to have in your toolbox of skills a variety of different, you know, techniques that you can deploy on the work at hand. So on these right here, you know, that works. It works fine. It's safe. You know, what I will do is I'm going to do a cut across. I think that'll be part of my speed test. You know, my cookie cut race, and we can work from there. And so I guess I'll set this up. And one last thing on my truck is where I bought that. It's a dealer in the area. It's Cortland, Chrysler, it's Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, Jeep, and all that stuff. They actually have two sites. They have one up in Fayetteville, New York, and they have one down in Cortland. And I do have to say they did a nice job for me. They have for several years. Their service department was one of the better ones around, which is one of the reasons why I went back to them for the 2017. They went through a little bit of a struggle. Their place burned to the ground. Plus they had some change in management for the service department. So they were a bit of a PITA for a while, but now they're back to being pretty good, and they're building a new building. Right now they're working across the street in what used to be a used car dealership, but their new building is now under construction, and they earned me back as a customer with that truck and that deal right there. But anyway, back to this. Get this back in its cradle. Not liking this camera arrangement. So let me go take a couple of cuts on that ash right there. And then I'll take the same saw and do it again on the hard maple, and you should see a little difference in cut speed. Let me see if I can get this in a little closer. And see, I can't see what I'm filming with this setup I have right here. I'm not pleased with it. I'm hoping I have it aimed. That was funny. I had to shake the fuel filter back down into the tank. It was running out of gas. So let's do, so this is the 42 cc saw. Let's go to the 54. Get it fired up. All right, that's the 254, and that's hard ash, and that's soft maple. Let's go up in displacement a little more with the 262. Probably lean that out and get a little more speed, but what I'll do is I'll go back and take the best of 3, and then we'll work from that for the cookie cuts. You can feel the difference in power, no doubt. The 254 is the one that's not quite as snappy as I would like it to be. So let's go to that stump and we'll make a cut with each of the saws. You know, that ought to make a little more difference. And then I'll cut down this log some and do some more cookie cuts. Since the 262 was running, we start with that. Pretty easy. Yeah, you can tell a difference. 262 is definitely a stronger saw. So let's go to the 42 and see how it stacks up with these powerhouse 1980s era lightweight Husqvarna chainsaws. difference in displacement there. This is 42 cc's versus 62. So you can see what 20 cc's get you, right? Well, 54 and 62. So I think that's pretty graphic. 262 obviously has more power than both. That 254 is not that far behind. It's got a little tuning issue here and there, but if I leaned it out a little bit, I think it would be right there with the 262. So, you know, I've got a couple of opportunities here. So I think what I want to do, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do this in the same video because I think I made the point, that poor little 40cc saw struggling through that piece of wood. Well, I put the same bar and chain I had on the 42 on the 560, which is again a bit of a hot rod. And what I'll do is I'm going to take that bar and chain, take a couple cookies right here. I'll go off and cut a slice off of that. And then I'm going to put that Country Line bar and chain combo on there and see if you can see any difference. Then I'm going to take the 262 again with its Husqvarna bar and steel chain, do the same. It's a lot of stuff, right? Well, let's get this one saw going first. Also, you'll see a difference in how easy it is. This thing's been sitting for a couple of days in the truck, so with a primer I can flush out the old gas, right? Now it was running on a much colder day. That's not even fair. So this will be 262 again with the Husqvarna bar steel chain. That really wasn't that bad when you think about it. So that, because that's a 3/8 bar and chain on the 262, and what I can tell you is it cut faster. You know, the feel of that bar and chain seemed like it was going through the wood a little easier than the 325 speed cut, right? So let me just do this. Let me take this bar and chain and stick that one on the 562 and see how much of a difference there is between it and the speed cut, right? That will be useful. But what I can tell you is the 262 with that 3/8 bar and chain combo is a real very, very effective tool. That cuts really nice. And I do believe that steel chain contributes a lot to its cut speed. I just like that combination right there. This is actually one I could probably fell small trees with. You know, maybe we'll take down one of these. But that's a very useful saw combination right there. And that bar, that's the Rancher bar. It's a laminate. Sure, I'd like to have something a little bit better, but I'm having a hard time finding small mount bars that are really worth a crap. And this Rancher with that 6 rivet tip seems like it is. It's worth me using. So this combination is going to get some more time. I think I'd come to that same conclusion last time I ran that saw. So what this is that Country Line combo. I actually have a tank of gas on this one here, possibly two, where I was limbing trees down the woods. So it's not 100% fresh. I did not hit it with a file. And this one has about the same amount of time on it, this speed cut. And they're different, you know. Both of them are not full chisel. Both of them have a little funny geometry at the top of the top plate to the side plate. This one is a semi-chisel or kind of a round. And that's supposed to kind of increase the life, keep the sharpness. Well, I don't know if it does or not. I used to run that semi-chisel stuff from Oregon, you know, out in the woods when I was doing muddy logs. I have a roll from Holes Forma that I have to test at some point. But this combination actually cut surprisingly well. And of course, I like the speed cut. Now, the profile of this bar fits the saw a little bit better than the speed cut, which is really designed for smaller saws, right? But I can tell you that I think the speed cut is underrated in terms of what you see online. It has stuff like them little lines down there to pull the oil up to the tooth. They do not stretch as fast as a small chain usually does. Although these, they seem to last pretty good. You know, both of them aggravate me because there's no one tooth that I can start from to do a sharpening on. Of course, this one would be easier to keep the way it was because it's a more conventional shape to the top plate, side plate than the speed cut that has its own unique grind, and I have no way of replicating that on the resharpening. So I guess where I come down on it is these things really cut well, and I like using the speed cut on the small saws in the brush. I think the 543 is going to end up with this bar because I think that suits it quite well. But I think before we get into the cut here, I believe the profile of this bar, along with the way that chain cuts, actually has found a home on this saw for farm work. I mean, these are cheap. They're real cheap. And of course, I can get them down at Tractor Supply Company, so there's a readily available supply of them, you know. And while they may not be the elite brands like Steel and Oregon and the Husqvarna, they're low cost and they're available and they work. So for this kind of stuff here, my first impression is that that's actually a very cost-effective solution to cutting this kind of work. It's a cost-effective product. So let's run it and we'll see how much difference there is between it and the speed cut in terms of actual cut time. And I think that 262 with a 3/8 is going to surprise you. That thing cut fast. I'm almost tempted to bring this one up to a 3/8 and try that same combination. And yet again, that Husqvarna Rancher bar can be purchased down at Tractor Supply, so that's another available, accessible product, you know, where some of them you just can't get them. It's hard to find some of these, like the Versa cuts and the speed cuts. You almost have to get them online anymore. But anyway, let's do a cut, and then I'm going to do some work and then turn this into a video. So this will be cookie cut with the Country Line bar and chain. And yet again, I don't know whether or not the camera is actually looking at what I want to film. Well, there may be a difference in speed, but the difference is small enough that I'd have to find it on the camera, you know what I'm saying? In terms of practical differences between the speed cut and that chain, there are none from what I can feel. I got to tighten it up again, and then we'll do a little bit of work. But the one thing I can say in terms of how much pressure I had to put on the chain, that 3/8 steel Husqvarna bar combo on the 262 took a lot less pressure to get it through the wood. And had I had the sprocket on that saw with a 3/8 and put that bar and chain, it would be basically a game changer. That's a takeaway. So maybe I've got to reevaluate the bar and chain combos I have. Now, if I remember correctly, the 455 and 460 Ranchers that Husqvarna had could be had with a 24-inch bar and chain. That would be the cat's meow for that saw right there. You know, if I could find a nice light 24-inch bar and chain combo for that saw, that's really the right saw. 20-inch is not bad. I don't know if you've noticed, I don't bend over that much. So anyway, I'm going to tighten it up and go off and do a little bit of work. Let me see if I can film anything.